ready?
Yep.
All right, as I approach my vehicle, I'm making sure it's not leaning to the left or the right. That would indicate load shift, a flat tire, or a suspension problem. Up top, I've got 5 amber lights, properly mounted, not cracked or damaged. 3 lights in the middle are my identification lights. 2 lights on the outside are my clearance lights. I come down to my headlights. They're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. They're clean and free of any condensation. My my headlights have 2 functions, high beam and low beam. My amber lights have 3 functions, running, turning, and emergency. I then would look underneath my truck, make sure I've got no loose hanging wires and no puddles causing a call for a leak. I'm going to open up my hood. General overview of all my hoses. My hoses, my electrical lines. They are not cut, torn, or frayed, cracked, broken, or damaged. They're not leaking. There's no signs of corrosion. Got my alternator properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It has all of its nuts and bolts. No signs of corrosion. It is belt driven. My belt is not cut, torn, or frayed. It has no more than 3/4 of an inch of play. Now we'll go over to my driver's side. General overview of all my hoses, my electrical lines. They are not cut, torn, or frayed, cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking, and no signs of corrosion. Back here is my air compressor, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts, and it's not leaking. Work my way up, I've got my oil dipstick, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. So I would check my oil level. I pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, put it back in, pull it back out again, check the level. If necessary, I would add up to 1 gallon of oil at a time. Come forward, this is my water pump, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking, has all of its nuts and bolts. It is belt driven. My belt is not cut, torn, or frayed, has no more than 3/4 of an inch of play. My coolant reservoir and cap, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts, it's not leaking, and it's filled to manufacturer's specifications. Now come down to my power steering reservoir, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, filled to the proper level. It's not leaking, has all of its nuts and bolts. Its caps, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. Now we'll take my hose, follow my hose. There's a hose under here. Follow your hose out, and it brings you back here to your power steering pump. My power steering pump, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. It is not leaking, and it is gear driven. Since I'm doing my power steering stuff, I'm going to stick with my steering. So I've got my steering shaft and U-joints properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's properly greased, has no signs of excess play. My steering gearbox, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts, and is not leaking. My pitman arm, my drag link, upper, back down here is my lower steering knuckles, and back here is my tie rod. They are not bent, broken, or damaged. They're properly greased and secured with castle nuts and cotter pins. My frame is not bent, no signs of illegal welds. My front and rear spring hangers, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. My leaf spring, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no signs of stepping. Causes of stepping would be a loose or broken U-bolt. My U-bolts are properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, have all their nuts. My shock absorber, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, properly secured on the top and on the bottom with bolts and rubber bushings. And they're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, and the shock absorber is not leaking. Now done with all my suspension stuff, so I work my way out. I've got my air line and my ABS line. They are not cracked, broken, or damaged, cut, torn, or frayed. There's no signs of leaking and no signs of corrosion. My brake chamber, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. I have another truck. Pause that for a second, guys. So, my brake chamber, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. It's not leaking. My push rod is not bent. My slack adjuster is properly greased, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. It is properly connected to my push rod with pins and cotter pins. And with my wheels chocked and my brakes released, I have no more than 1 inch of pull on my slack adjuster. My brake pads, brake shoes, brake linings, whatever you want to call them, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, and have no less than 1/4 inch material and is free of dirt, oil, and grease. My brake drum, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's also free of dirt, oil, and grease. Work my way out to my steer tire. My steer tire must be a virgin tire, must be evenly worn, must be no less than 4/32 of tread depth, must be the same brand, must be the same size. What I do to this side, I must do to the other side. And it cannot be retreaded or remanufactured. My tire sidewalls are free of any abrasion, bulges, cuts, or dry rot. My tire is properly seated or properly beaded to my rim. My rim is not cracked, broken, or damaged, no signs of illegal welds. It has a valve stem and cap. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. It's not touching my rim, not leaking. That's why I would check my air pressure with an air gauge and fill it to manufacturer specification. I've got 10 lug nuts. My lug nuts are not loose. Signs of looseness would be indicated by rust trails or metal shavings. My hub and oil seal, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts and is not leaking. Through the little sight glass in here, I would check my oil level, and if necessary, I'd fill it to manufacturer specification. That is your front of truck inspection, guys.
Thank you, because I never got that.
Really? Side of truck is from your door all the way back down to your tail lights. Katina, you don't want to do this one. It's a manual truck or automatic truck. You're manual.
Okay.
All right. So my door, it opens and it closes. My door hinges, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My door seal, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of leak. My window seal, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of leaking. My mirror bracket, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My amber light, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has 3 functions: running, turning, and emergency. My steps, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. It's free of dirt, oil, and grease, and it supports my weight. My DEF tank, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. Has this cap. My cap is also properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. There's a rubber gasket on the cap, it's not leaking. My fuel tank, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's not leaking, no signs of illegal welds. It's properly secured with 2 metal straps with rubber linings. My fuel cap, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. Inside the cap, there's a rubber gasket with a metal chain, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. Come to the back of my truck, I've got DOT reflective tape. It's clean and reflects light. Let's stay on this side. Over there, stay there. Back in here, I have my exhaust. properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking, no signs of excess soot. Right here, I've got my drive shaft hanger, and my U-joints, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts, and there's no obstructions that got sucked up into my drive shaft. My torque bar, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My catwalk and steps, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. It's free of dirt, oil, and grease, and it supports my weight. My cross members and frame, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts, and it's free of dirt or free of any signs of illegal welds. My splash guard, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My spring hanger, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My leaf spring, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. No signs of stepping. Cause of stepping would be a loose or broken U-bolt. My U-bolts, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of leaking. Jesus Christ. My U-bolts, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Have all their nuts. My hydraulic shock absorber, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Properly secured on the top and on the bottom with bolts and rubber bushings. Has all their nuts and bolts. And the hydraulic shock absorber itself has no signs of leaking. My airbag is properly inflated. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's properly mounted on the top and on the bottom. Has all of its nuts and bolts. And there's no signs of dry rot and not leaking. My brake chamber, my air lines and ABS line, they're not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of leaking, no signs of corrosion. My brake chamber, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts, and it's not leaking. My push rod is not bent. My slack adjuster is properly greased, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. Is properly connected to my push rod with pins and cotter pins. And when my wheel's chocked and my brakes released, I have no more than 1 inch of pull on my slack adjuster. My brake shoes, brake pads, brake linings, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. And has no less than 1/4 inch of material. It's free of dirt, oil, and grease. My brake drum, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's also free of dirt, oil, and grease. Work my way back out. These are my dual drive tires. My dual drive tires can be retreaded or remanufactured. Can be a different brand. Must be the same size. Must be evenly worn. Must have no less than 2/32 of tread depth. In between my tires, I've got no obstructions that could cause damage to my sidewalls. My rims are properly butted together. There's no space in between my tires. All right? My tire sidewalls are free of any abrasions, bulges, cuts, or dry rot. My tires are properly seated or properly beaded to my rims. My rims are not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of illegal welds. I've got 2 valve stems with caps, one for the outside and one on the inside rim. They're not bent, broken, or damaged. They're not leaking. With an air gauge is where I would check my air pressure and fill it to manufacturer's specification. I got 10 lug nuts. They're not loose. Signs of looseness would be rust trails or metal shavings. My axle seal, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts and is not leaking. Now I would explain this rear axle the same way as I explain this front axle. Gives you an opportunity, right? So make sure you mention, explain this axle the same as this axle. Since I'm so good, I don't have to. My mud flap, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has DOT tape that's clean and reflects light and is hung no less than 2 inches from the ground. In the back, I've got 2 red lights. They're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. They have 4 functions: running, turning, emergency, and braking. I've got 1 white light. That is my clear light. That is my reverse light. That concludes my side of truck inspection. So remember, guys, whenever we say side of truck, it goes from your door all the way back to your tail lights and everything in between. All right? Coupling is its own thing. That is all of our airlines, everything that connects your tractor to your trailer. All right? So now we're going to do coupling. All right? We're going to do it real quick on here just so I can show you components, and then we'll go back over to that tractor so I can show you exactly how it's done. All right? So I've got my air hoses. My blue is my service, my red is my emergency. They're properly mounted from my tractor to my glad hands. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of leaking. My glad hands properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of leaking. They have rubber grommet on the inside that's not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. My green line is not cut, torn, or frayed. It's my electrical line. It's properly mounted from my tractor to my plug. My plug's not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has 7 holes. The holes are free of any obstructions, no signs of corrosion. All my lines are properly extended and not touching my catwalk. I have here my electrical box, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. Inside the electrical box, I've got 7 pins. My pins are present, they're not cracked, broken, or damaged. There's none missing, and there's no signs of corrosion. So underneath my trailer is my apron. My apron is properly mounted, no signs of illegal welds. Got my kingpin. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged. All right? Come over to here. I have my sliding 5th wheel skid plate. Properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's properly greased. My locking lever release handle. Properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's in the locked position, meaning that my locking jaws are securely around my kingpin. My sliding 5th wheel frame, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts, and it's in the locked position because I can see the slide pins through the windows. My platform, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. Then you're going to come to the back. Look down, you're going to say, looking down the throat of my 5th wheel skid plate, I can confirm that the locking jaws are securely around my kingpin. All right? Any questions? All right, so let's go over here. My blue line, blue is my service line. My red is my emergency line. They're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. Properly secured from my tractor to my glad hands. My glad hands not cracked, broken, or damaged, and not leaking. Inside the glad hands, I have rubber grommets on the inside. They're also not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking. My green lines, my electrical line is not cut, torn, or frayed. No signs of corrosion. It's properly connected from my tractor to my plug. My plug is not cracked, broken, or damaged. It has 7 holes. They're free of obstructions and no signs of corrosion. My electrical box, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, has all of its nuts and bolts. I have 7 pins on the inside electrical box. They're not bent, broken, or damaged, and there's no signs of corrosion. And all my lines are properly extended and not touching my catwalk. My apron, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no signs of illegal welds. My kingpin, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. My 5th wheel skid plate, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's properly greased. I see no daylight between my apron and my 5th wheel skid plate. meaning that I'm properly connected. My locking lever release handle, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's in the locked position, meaning that my locking jaws are securely around my kingpin. My sliding fifth wheel frame, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's in the locked position because I can see the slide pins through the windows. My platform, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It has all of its nuts and bolts. Looking down the throat of my fifth wheel skid plate, I confirmed that the locking jaw is securely around my kingpin. That's it. That is coupling. My trailer bulkhead, not cracked, broken, or damaged. There's no bulges that would indicate a load shift. Up top, I've got two amber lights. They're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. They have one function. They are my clearance lights. Looking down the length of my trailer, I see no bulges that would indicate a load shift. And I have DOT tape runs down the length of my trailer. My landing gear, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My landing gear leg and landing gear foot, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. That's in the stowed or upright position. And there's no obstructions around my landing gear. My K-bar, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My landing gear crank handle, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. And it has two speeds, high and low. Two functions, up and down. And is properly stowed away on my passenger side. My mid-trailer marker light, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It is amber in color. It has three functions, running, turning, and emergency. Underneath my trailer, these bars that run across it, is my trailer frame, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of illegal welds. My trailer side door, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My door seal, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's no signs of leaking. My side door latch, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's in the locked position. My air hoses and electrical line, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged, not leaking, no signs of corrosion. My sliding tandem rail, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It has emergency stops on the front and on the back. They're also properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. My sliding tandem frame, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of illegal welds. It's in a locked position because I can see the pins through the windows. My sliding tandem release handle, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's in a locked position. I can confirm that because I can see the pins through the windows. My torque bar, my torsion bar, and my stabilizer, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My brake chamber, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. It's not leaking. My air hoses, ABS line, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Not leaking, no signs of corrosion. My push rod, not bent. My slack adjuster, properly greased, properly mounted. Has all of its nuts and bolts. It's connected to my push rod with pins, cotter pins. When my wheels chocked and my brakes released, I have no more than 1 inch of pull on my slack adjuster. My brake shoes, brake pads, brake linings, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Free of dirt, oil, and grease, and have no less than a 1/4 inch material. My brake drum, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's also free of dirt, oil, and grease. Suspension, I've got my front and middle spring hanger, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My leaf spring, properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts and no signs of stepping. Causes of stepping would be a loose or broken U-bolt. My U-bolt's properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts. And that's it for suspension, right? So now we work our way back out. These are my dual trailer tires. My dual trailer tires can be retreaded, can be remanufactured, can be a different brand, must be evenly worn, must be no less than 2/32 of tread depth, and must be the same size. And I have no obstructions in between my tires cause damage to my sidewalls, and my rims are properly butted and touching. No space in between my rims. My tire sidewalls are free of any abrasions, bulges, cuts, or dry rot. It's properly seated, properly beaded to my rim. My rim is not cracked, broken, or damaged. No signs of illegal weld. It has two valve stems, one for my outside, one for my inside rim. Valve stems were metal with their caps, not bent, broken, or damaged, no signs of leaking. With an air gauge where I would check my air pressures and fill it up to manufacturer specification. Got 10 lug nuts. None of them are missing. They're not loose. Signs of looseness will be indicated by rust trails or metal shavings. My hub's cap or hub seal properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts and it's not leaking. Now I would explain this rear axle the same way as I did this front axle, but I don't have to because I'm good. So I've got my amber light properly mounted, not cracked or damaged. Has one function, it's my ABS light. If this light were to be on, means I have a problem with my ABS. My mud flap properly mounted, not cracked or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts, and it's hung no less than 2 inches from the ground. My red light properly mounted, not cracked or damaged. Has one function, it's my running light or marker light. Come to the back of my trailer. I've got 5 red lights up top. They're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. 3 lights in the middle, my identification. 2 lights on the outside, all my clearance. The trailer roll door properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No bulges. It would indicate a load shift. My roll door tension cable is properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My roll door latch properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. It's in a locked position, has all of its nuts and bolts. This is also where I would open my door and check my seal on my floor and my load for any damages. I also have DOT tape on the bottom and on the top of my door. It's clean and reflects light. My roll door handle properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has all of its nuts and bolts. My roll door strap is not cut, torn, or frayed. When in motion, this will be tucked inside my door. In the back, I've got 6 red lights. They're properly mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. The 3 lights in the 2 lights on the outside have 3 functions: running, turning, and emergency. 2 lights in the middle are clean and reflect light. They're just my reflectors. 2 lights on the inside have 2 functions: running and braking. That concludes my trailer inspection. I would come to the passenger side and explain the same as my driver's side. The only difference being I have steps on my passenger side door for climbing up into the trailer. It has all of its nuts and bolts properly mounted. It's free of dirt, oil, and grease, and supports my weight. And you can also see that the landing gear handle is properly stowed. That is my trailer inspection.